Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Understanding global variables in Power Apps, best practices and alternatives. Power Apps is a powerful tool for building custom applications with ease. One of the features it offers is the use of global variables, which allow you to store data that can be accessed from anywhere in your app. However, relying heavily on global variables can lead to code that is hard to maintain and debug. In this tutorial, we will discuss why you might want to limit the use of global variables and explore alternatives, along with code examples. What are global variables? Global variables in Power Apps are defined using the set function and are accessible from any screen in the app. They are useful for storing data that you need to use across multiple screens or components. Example of creating a global variable asterisk. Accessing a global variable asterisk. Why avoid overusing global variables? 1. Maintainability. Using too many global variables can make your app's logic difficult to follow. It becomes challenging to track where variables are set and modified. 2. Performance. Global variables are stored in memory for the session. Excessive use can lead to performance issues, especially in larger apps. 3. Debugging. When debugging, it can be cumbersome to trace the flow of data through various screens when multiple global variables are involved. 4. State management. Relying on global variables can lead to unintended side effects and bugs, as their state persists across screens. Alternatives to global variables. 1. Context variables. Use context variables to store data that is only needed within a single screen. They are defined using the update context function. 2. Collections. Use collections to store a set of records or data that can be shared across screens without the need for global scope. 3. Controls properties. Sometimes, you can simply use the properties of controls to pass data between screens. Using context variables. Context variables are limited to the screen in which they are defined. They are a great alternative for temporary storage. Example of using context variables asterisk. Using collections. Collections can be used to handle data that needs to be accessed from multiple screens without relying on global variables. Example of creating a collection asterisk. Best practices. 1. Limit global variables. Use global variables sparingly and only when absolutely necessary. 2. Prefer context variables. For screen-specific data, prefer context variables to reduce complexity. 3. Use collections for group data. When dealing with lists or records, use collections to manage data efficiently. 4. Isolate state. Keep state management localized to components or screens to enhance maintainability. 5. Comment your code. Always document the purpose of variables, especially if they are global, to make it easier to understand their usage later on. Conclusion. While global variables in Power Apps can be useful, over-reliance on them can complicate your application. By understanding the alternatives, such as context variables and collections, you can maintain cleaner, more efficient code. Always keep in mind the best practices for state management and strive for a balance between functionality and maintainability.